Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the show, The Future of Web. We do this show about Web3 technologies, and the intention is to educate people to increase understanding and help in wider adoption of this technology, which is growing, at a big pace, by the way. And so here what we discuss is we discuss the current state of Web3 projects and how different personnel, like be it founder, investor, developer, marketer, designer, community manager, and several others are impacting this space through their product or service. Hello, my name is Alek, as you can see probably there. Uh, and I am the founder of Animal Solution. We are a Web3 based technology services company. We can help you create metaverses, NFT marketplaces, build applications on blockchain, and we create memes and several other stuff. We'll talk about that later. So, I am very excited for today's guest as we have a very, very special guest today. He's the one who wants to make sure that it is very easy for anyone to know, understand, and be a part of this revolution of Web3. He is the CEO of MetaverseBay, which is an educational platform for newcomers to Metaverse space. And he's also the CBO, that's Chief Business Officer of Xploriya, a Metaverse platform where kids can experience their dream jobs, so kind of experience it, how it feels like to become a doctor or nurse. We'll talk about that as well. What all experiences are initially available, and he's a big believer, as you can probably guess, of metaverse. Definitely becoming one of the key parts of people's lives in the future. Just like myself, I believe that too, and hence he's putting all the effort in enabling a lot of people for a lot of effort in people and making Web3 through his companies. And also, he will be making an important announcement regarding one of his projects at the end of the show. So hang on for there. Without further ado, let us all welcome Andrii Shykhman. And here he is.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Andrii.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In
Good
my place,
morning.
at
Good
least.
afternoon. Yes,
Good
yes,
afternoon.
yes. Here is afternoon. So fantastic. You're joining live from Prague, right?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic, Andre. So I just gave everybody a little brief introduction about you, so what you're doing, how you're working,
Yes.
and what your different projects like Metaverse Bay and Xploriya are doing. And obviously we'll discuss them in detail, as we
Sure.
go along in this discussion. First of all, thank you so much for coming in. I know it's early, you're not a early morning guy, but so thank you so much
9
again.
a.m. is fine. 9 a.m. is fine.
Yeah. So thank you for that. All right. So Andre, so let's try and understand you a little better. So share
Sure.
something which I really ask most of my guests. That's which is what is it that gets you up every morning?
Um, the potential of the future, I can say. I'm excited that we are in that moment where, I don't know, I mean, I love history, and in a history, there's always a period of time when there's a new discovery. So 600 years ago, it was Columbus who discovered America, then the people who discovered internet, there's people who discovered different technologies. So now when we are in this new stage, when there is a VR, AR, virtual reality potential as well, maybe even metrics future at some point. So this is something cool and interesting. This is what gets me up. I mean, the potential for future, and I love it. I'm full time into metaverse space, so that's what gets me up.
Fantastic. I think we have a bright future in metaverse space, and with the events that I'm like covering, and somehow you and I also bump in multiple events
Yes.
sometimes without planning with each other. So that's interesting. Like what you're doing. So can you share a little bit in the sense that with about you with the viewers, something that say nobody else knows about you, a secret.
Uh, I almost never shared, but I used to go for a professional breakdancing career when I was in my teenage years, and but I got an injury, so I got too high because you have to be like 1 meter 70 the best to do like breakdancing career, but I got to 190, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stop, so I got an injury, and that's how it ended for me. So my if I didn't it was if I kept being 170 and didn't grow up, maybe I would do breakdancing, so never would get into metaverse space. So but I like how
Yeah.
it turned out. So
Oh, fantastic. So no regrets, I guess.
yeah, no regrets. No.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. So this tells me that you are a little like taller than me because I'm around 183 or something like that.
Hmm.
So cool. So I did it. I went into breakdancing. Like I think most of us during our school early days,
Yeah,
and with Michael Jackson's music and videos and stuff like that, right?
it's a
And
great period of time, basically. I got
oh,
all the
absolutely,
things got really popular.
absolutely, absolutely. So so we understand. So like, what got you interested in this metaverse space? So I know that you were into digital marketing and in I think some other industries as well. So what got you into metaverse?
So it was just a pure coincidence, I can say, like how I get excited about VR. It was 5 years ago in one of the tech conferences, and I was able to experience VR without joystick. So it was actually body tracking technology. It's still not fully developed right now. So I was really lucky to experience it 5 years ago. I was feeling like a monkey in a lab right there. So they put me like a lot of chips all over my body to track my movement and everything, and I never know about what is VR. So once I boarded it, so when I opened my eyes, I was on 60 meters uh, high skyscraper. I was just 60 meters down, and I'm afraid of heights. So for me, staying on the edge of 60 meters high skyscraper with full body actually like my body actually moving, no joysticks, nothing. I actually felt it like real, and I got super scared. My adrenaline started pumping hard. So it was really interesting experience, and I was able, like in Inception, to feel that it's not real. Tell my because my brain didn't care. He's like, this is your new body, and this is real. You're gonna die, because like you're almost fall from the skyscraper, and I just touched my watch on my wrist, which was not in VR, but was physically so I have this physical touch, and I feel it, but I didn't see it in VR. So that's how I told this is not real. And it was just 3 minutes experience, but once I get out from it, I fall in love with it. And after that, I started tracking closely all news updates regarding this for many years. At that time, I was already into crypto for some time, so it was just like extra edge. And then I was just I'm not a developer, so I'm not a tech savvy in this sense. I'm more a marketing person, more a people person, and I just didn't see a fit for myself in the beginning to start something early. That's why I was more closing the space, and I also wasn't expecting it to start growing that quickly in 2020s. I was more predicting it to become a thing in 2030s. But then when I saw a lot of progress starting from big companies, I see, okay, so they're speeding up the process, and I like it. So that's how I started looking for things I would like to do in this space. And then I saw the opportunity that there's a lack of education in the space, and that's why there's a lot of scams and all these things. So that's why I thought it's important to educate people so they won't get into the position where they lost their money because of lack of education, lack of understanding of the space. And that's where we started with my partners, MetaverseBay.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so so I understand. And plus, you coming from digital marketing, so you would always keep yourself aware of the latest trends, in different
Yeah.
industries. And, so, and how was that experience like? I can understand, for somebody who has vertigo, like fear of heights and feeling that you're the skyscraper must have been, like obviously we can, joke and make fun about it right now, but so that also gives an example of how virtual reality and how metaverse experiences can be as real as it you can feel it,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes being scared, sometimes being how do I say it, excited about things.
I mean, I was 100% scared. First seconds, because before that, I never experienced VR. Second, I didn't know what to expect. They didn't tell me that it would be 60 meters up. So when I opened my eyes, first, I mean, I was scared. I was super scared. And even then, because they asked me to walk through the wooden plank from one building to another, so first it was hard to even convince myself to do that because I'm just also afraid of it. I have the fear of heights. So. It was hilarious, I can say, and it was funny, and we have a lot of jokes with my friends at that time. But it was also scary, and it was a lot of adrenaline. And I love adrenaline, so I can't complain. But I'm a bit maybe a fan of adrenaline. I was always pursuing it, so that's why one of the other things why I probably fall in love with VR. I was just happy enough lucky enough to experience it so uniquely, I can say, and I recommend everybody to try VR in this way.
Oh, absolutely. And like while you're talking about it, I'm thinking that this could essentially be used as like a practice tool for people, maybe to get over fear. So like you have
Yeah,
fear, and I know some people who have that fear of heights, and they could, essentially practice in metaverse,
yeah,
experience it, and then take a call. If they really want to, challenge that fear, get over it. Some people have fear of water, some other things. So if the experience gets so real, I mean, without actually putting yourself at harm, you can still experience that and, probably overcome it as well. That's
yeah.
the way I see it.
I 100% agree with you. I think the main application of VR in this sense is we can do some extreme sports, which is super dangerous, and we can get injured. We can even die. So there's a lot of h- adrenaline high sports and experiences, which is, to be fair, really risky for the life. That's why it's so much adrenaline for it. But you can experience all of those also in later stages once VR get even into better stage in VR, and it will be full immersive experience, but you will not risk your life. So this is one of the main benefits, and I see an application for that as 100%.
Oh, absolutely. And then obviously we'll discuss, how you are building Metaverse Bay, the advantages. But what I want to, like first understand from you.
Sure.
So when you took it up, this Metaverse, and you want to, like do a full deep dive into it, create different products around it, right? So
Yeah.
what was your initial reaction? Like how do you think has the journey been, say, from February 2022 when you started Metaverse Bay till now? It's been about 6 7 months. So how has the
Yeah.
journey been there?
I'm originally from Ukraine, and some couple founders of MetaverseBay also from Ukraine. So we started in February, right, a couple of weeks before the war in Ukraine started, when Russian invasion started. So there was the situation that we froze activity for a couple months because we need to help our families relocate and support our friends' family. So that's why we technically started actual development. So the idea came to in like January. Then in February, we actually started working towards the idea, and we started officially like the company. And then for 3 months, we just froze operations. We were doing it really, really on, even not even part time, was just like from time to time basis. And then from summer, we actually started working this full time. And one of the first things where we presented the idea was in Amsterdam. Uh, in MedAm, so it's a conference in June. So basically, we started like 2 weeks before the conference to get it ready to the condition where we actually can show the website, can show some sneak peeks, and we're like speed running in 2 weeks because we didn't have time to work on it for 3 months. So it was interesting, it was challenging because of multiple reasons, but it was fun. And then after that, we started doing a lot of research, which we were focusing towards the course, which we plan to fully launch by the end of the year. And we announced it basically yesterday, and but like it's not in fully. So yeah, so announced it officially. People in the background know about it. People who in the industry already knew about it and support us, help us out. I appreciate everybody who help us out on this journey. So it was interesting. It was challenging. But it's exciting. That's the main part. It's what drives me every day. The challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And to say you were doing multiple jobs, switching countries, and then creating it must have been hell of a ride, like I would say mentally. So, is it getting easier now, now that you're settled in and things are moving faster? You're going to make a big announcement today on our show, and, and with other things happening?
Yeah, so it is. I mean, it is easier when you settle down and we have it's more chill and you have finally a bit to relax when you're in one place instead of always moving. So yeah, I moved to Prague 1 year ago, and plus the COVID, almost in Prague you don't feel that there's COVID. That COVID exists basically, but there's almost no control. I mean, when I first moved in, there was like masks in public transport, and that's it. And then like 1 month after that, even that was lifted. So it was only masks in hospitals, and then even that was lifted. So basically, for the last 9 months, there's like no COVID in Czech Republic. And I mean, I got COVID once in these 9 months, but except of that, and it was felt more like just a regular flu. Um, but other than that, I actually feel that in Czech Republic we are over this pandemic, and it also helps the mental state as well, because you're not in constant this news sphere and news feed of things like that happening. So I can say it's pretty good now, pretty stable, and pretty funny. And it just pretty exciting, I can say, on an
Oh
everyday
yeah,
basis.
absolutely. When you don't have that external fear coming in, you can do a little more effort. You can put in a little more effort and doing the job more
Definitely.
effectively, meeting other people freely, going to offices and things like that. So I also know that like you joined as a CBO, like Chief Business Officer for Xploriya. So how did that come about, and what is that project all about?
So it happened in one of the Metaverse events. I met met the CEO of Xploriya in super early stages when the idea was just first brought up, but they already was applying for VC early seed. There was already in the process of it, an early
Mm-hmm.
seed, accelerator process. Sorry. And basically, we just spoke with CEO. He shared a bit about the idea. I love it. And then the coincidence happened that we both live in Prague. So, and we almost live like 5 minutes from each other. So that's how it's started. I can say just we met in Metaverse event. We shared the
Mm-hmm.
contact details and we shared WhatsApp. And when he said his WhatsApp, it was check number, and I'm like, where are you located? And he's like, Prague. And I'm like, me too. So that's how we went for a beer. And then we just chatted more. I was invited just for brainstorming for Xploriya. I love the full idea. I love everyone. It was a great experience to work together and brainstorm together. And then that's how I joined, and I just fall in love with the vision because I also, I mean, educating people is important, but also I wanted to build something in this space. And I want to build something meaningful, and I was always in this constant search for great ideas to build something actual important for people which can solve today's problems using the new
Mm-hmm.
technology. And when I saw
Mm-hmm.
this opportunity, I saw great fit for me and so something I would like to pursue as well. And basically, our goal is to help kids figure out what they actually dream about. Because almost all, I mean, all kids are dreaming about being somebody in the future. They're dreaming being astronaut, being a doctor, being an engineer, whatever. I mean, they have crazy dreams as well. From our research, you can say, like maybe being like trained a doctor, or being like a zookeeper, and or being like a geologist. And I'm like, how did you know about this career? Like I saw it somewhere on internet. So it was something like that, some crazy answers. So
Mm-hmm.
you didn't expect from kid. So then basically our goal is to help kids like experience these jobs, at least some basic understanding of it in the first stages, and then they
Mm-hmm.
can decide actually what they want to do for the future, and then their parents can help them out to learn specific skills to actually do that in the future. Because technically, a lot of us are dreaming about one thing because we didn't know what it is. But then when we grow up, we understand that yeah, it wasn't possible because it's not in our skill set, or it's not about our personality, and then we change
Mm-hmm.
our position. But if and in the end we didn't end up doing what we like, we start regretting that we didn't
Mm-hmm.
pursue what our child wanted to be. And it's actual research that around 70% of adults who didn't pursue their childhood dreams regret being doing what they are doing right at the moment. So that the goal is to help them and kids understand what they actually want to do, so the adults won't have these regrets in future.
Oh, actually that's a very very noble cause. Like it's interesting that any kid who. So are you targeting a particular age bracket, or how does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah, we're targeting older kids because younger kids doesn't have access to VR, and also I mean it's not that healthy for their eyes as well. So we're targeting the older kids, more teenagers, I can say. So this is our
Mm-hmm.
main target area, but we're still exploring. We're still exploring different options. So it depends. We're still in early stage, so it might change depending on the market needs as well. Yeah, we're working on this full time. We're working on a proof of concept right now, and we're raising funds as well as of October. So it depends on how it will go. We're still early stage startup, so it's hard to say at the moment. But we are now focusing as our target group for more teenagers. That's our vision, is that will be the best need for them, and according to research as well.
Oh, cool. So, I mean, that's actually very exciting, like actually getting to experience before actually doing it, so that's a lot of advantage. It's something like, if you touch the water, if it's cold or hot before actually taking a bath and seeing, if that's the right thing or not.
Yeah.
Maybe a weird example, but it makes sense.
It is this, and the goal is
Yeah.
that it also will be make maybe as like a substitute for short-term internships. So instead of actually doing the, because our goal is to make it close to reality, so actually make a simulation. So start with the general idea, but also but develop it to the way where it will be simulating at least one day in the life of a particular job. So then the teenager can experience the actual job and then decide if this is actually what he wants to do, and then he can apply for internships, for example. So and then you can be sure instead of applying for internship, getting it, working for like 1, 2, 3 days and understanding, no, it's not what I want to do, and then you have to either drop out or have to work this 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
5 weeks or whatever you have,
Mm-hmm.
maybe half a year,
Mm-hmm.
depends on the internship contract. And then basically,
Mm-hmm.
are you either you stuck in that position or it's bad for employer because he will lose the so the process is finished and then the person drop out after the first week. So it's also not that good for both sides. So the goal is that the person will experience it beforehand, what it's like, and then he can make a better decision, and it will beneficial for both employee and employer as well.
Oh yeah, so I think it's going to benefit both sides. So what all career or streams are you folk do you have on the platform right now?
So we're focusing. Like I'm able. I'm not allowed to share the exact industry right now, but I can share one of our MVP projects which we're building right now. It is a zookeeper. So these are
Okay.
our right now thing which we right now open the waitlist for, so people actually
Mm-hmm.
can sign up for an early alpha access basically to it. So you can go to our website and you can go to an MVP section and you can sign up for waitlist, and we'll share the link to Playable MVP version once. I mean, probably next month, maybe next couple of weeks. So it depends because the development is a long process, unfortunately. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. So it's hard to predict exact date of the release. But you can sign up for waitlist and be the first people to know about it.
Oh, cool. So is that the big announcement you were going to make later, or this, or that is
Uh,
still
no,
something
no,
else?
we yeah, there's something else.
Ah, okay, cool. So there are two announcements right now. One is,
Yeah.
you can go be a part of the whitelist for anybody who's tuned in right now and experience how Metaverse looks like. And your suggested, headgear will be Oculus Quest or something like that, right?
I mean, right now we're building it for at the moment we're building it. Will be accessible with desktop right at the moment, but we it will be accessible with VR maybe a bit later. But definitely it must be accessible with VR. That's the whole purpose of it. But
Yeah.
because of the limitation of technology, and because we understand that most people who will try it won't probably have access to VR this year, maybe, but maybe for next year
Mm-hmm.
they will have, because for example in Europe it's the amount of VR headsets per population is quite low. It's not like it is
Mm-hmm.
in US, for example. So that's why we're building it across platforms so people can experience it through the desktop. The goal is also to make it able to experience for people with mobile, and also of course VR and maybe even AR. So there's a lot of things we have right now working on, and you can sign up for the wait list and be the first people to know the progress and to get an invitation to try it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, I totally agree. It's like, taking step by step. So your MVP comes out in a desktop version, you get
Yes.
experience, build technology, enhance the experience, and then, launch it in VR. It totally makes sense. It's better to, like try and get to an end product and see, like, and there are a lot of, say, holes in it. Then do
Yeah.
it through an MVP, refine it as you go along, and by at with the same time build the community as well. And for the folks again listening in, Andrei is building a community of explorers who would like to join him. He's already made one announcement, that where you can join in and be a part of the white waitlist for the zookeeper. Interesting job. Never thought about it in the daily realm, but yes, you can experience it. And there are going
You
to be
can experience
several others.
what it's like to
Yeah.
manage the zoo.
Oh yes. I imagine going into a lion's den and then see, and feeding him. Oh my God, I am already getting, it's a specialized job. So if you want that, you can experience it. And there are going to be tons of other jobs
Yes.
coming into this. Absolutely. Cool, Andre. So now, so that's one part of it. The other is the Metaverse Bay, which is, I would say, your baby. Like you put it
Yeah.
together with your friends and now co-founders. So what is that about? Like, what are the challenges that you're facing in, in building these two platforms?
I mean, we are building something which haven't been built right now in Web3. The goal is to build like a free experience for end user. So the main challenge is how to make it possible. So we were starting with the idea of non-profit in the beginning, but then once we made enough research, we understood that even Web2 companies who are non-profit, like Wikipedia, even like the biggest example, have struggled with cash flow and was close to even closing completely. So that's why living off just donations wasn't a thing, and that's why we moved from non-profit to for-profit, but technically the main idea is to be accessible metaverse encyclopedia and educational platform for people to go to where they can learn most of this stuff for free, 100%, maybe even all this stuff. It depends how it will go, uh, because it depends on the cash flow. We might maybe put some price on some point on one of maybe advanced content, but what my perspective is any content which helps you become just a user, like a consumer in the space, must be free, and the content which will enable you to earn money in the space can be paid. So but it can also be free, depends. It depends on how the monetization will go, and still it's still a question. Web3 is still a lot of things to explore and see. So there's a lot of plans for next couple years. So follow up on me on LinkedIn and stay updated or just follow our website or newsletter and stay updated with all the relevant news and new updates from the MetaverseBay, because there's a lot of cool things will happen in next year. And a lot of things we planned. But one of the things is everything on the website right now is free and it's planned to be free for a long time. And you can support us with donations, or you can partner with us and support us with as your company. If you own a company, if you would like to partner with us and support a good cause as well. So yeah, the challenge right now is to reach enough Web2 users, because we are still a Web2 we're a Web2 solution. Our goal is to bring as many people from Web2 to Web3 as possible. So we are focusing primarily on Web2 rather than Web3. But of course, because even myself included, even though I'm in space for many years, I personally have gaps in knowledge, as any of us Web3 person is, even being in space for many years, because the space is so like growing fast. Like the speed of growing it is also other things happening simultaneously in multiple areas. So it's really hard to keep up, even for people myself as being it full time. So I understand how challenging it is for newcomers, and also how challenging it is for other Web3 full-time people. So our goal is also to be a place where people can go for information, and not like a news platform, but more as an educational platform, and to see actual educational content and have it organized in one place.
Oh yes, I think, and like, and you continue to fund it from your own pockets, right? Right now, like
Yes,
as I,
fully bootstrapping. Yes.
yeah. So, and you plan to do that for a long time
I
till the
mean,
time you.
we have enough money invested so that we can keep the platform for multiple years running in a low
Mhm.
cost. But of course, to expand, we'll probably need either support from the community or investments, and it depends. So it depends how it will go, of course. But our goal was initially to make it accessible and free for end users, and running it in low cost, we can keep it like that for at least a couple years.
Couple of years of runway, that's fantastic, like, so, which is, and especially, like right now, obviously there's a little bear market going on, be it DeFi or CeFi.
Yeah.
But then once the bull market starts to come in, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of users who want to experience it, and then probably you could come out with some paid courses as well, or a higher level of experience. I mean, I'm sure you already have plans about it. I don't want them to be revealed right now, because that's fine. No, it's interesting. One challenge I understood is the funding, right? Did you face any tech challenge, because you're coming from a different background? You're from digital marketing, so
I mean,
having people who can build it, designers, programmers. How did you solve that?
our founders are from different backgrounds. So we have a developer founder, we have a content creator founder, basically, and myself marketing. So we have different founders. my partners who are focused on different backgrounds. We don't have everyone from one background, for example. That's why this is kind of solved, because we have everyone who is focusing on his particular target and his particular skill set. That's why we don't have a problems with developing, for example, or with content creation or with marketing, because we have all of that basically covered by founders, but also with a great community as well. We have multiple supporters of our cause who contribute to our community to help build our vision, and we appreciate everybody who is contributing on a daily basis. And this is what I love also about Web3 is opportunity for collaborating and opportunity for there people came up for support your good cause, and we're all early, so it's exciting to support other projects as well. I mean, I'm also helping out with the projects with the devices, with some free consultations, just to help them out understand better the industry and better build the product, because right now it's still hard to understand what's a sustainable solution, what's not, and many people especially who are early in the space, who onboard the space half a year ago, maybe 1 year ago, once Meta became like Facebook became Meta, there was a lot of hype. So many people on board the space just like half a year ago, 1 year ago, and they wanted to build something, but they didn't have enough experience. So they started building the product, and after that, they decided to build a business model. And now they're struggling because they followed someone else who was successful at that time, but because of the timing, not because of the actual business model. So now they need help how to fix their business model, and I'm helping out with those with consultations basically. So and that's basically collaborations is a thing in Web3, huge thing.
Oh yes, Web3 is absolutely collaboration, and which is one thing very, very unique about Web3 as a new technology itself. Somehow, like, there's a lot of people, even like big tech founders, they have open to helping people who are starting up, coming with ideas, especially in DAOs, right? So that's a very, very important thing. So having built, right, like essentially you're now part of two organizations which are doing different or solving different problems in metaverse through a metaverse platform, right? Be it Xploriya, be it MetaverseBay. So once you basically built that up, because it's a new industry, so what was the reaction of when you started actually approaching people, like maybe customers, maybe different people that you had to hire or work with
Mhm.
within this industry? So what was the reaction like?
So it depends if a person is a Web3 already or a Web2, because if you approach a Web3 person and just speak about the project, everything depends how long he's in the space. If it's long enough, not like 1 day or like 1 week or 1 month, he will
Yeah.
understand the problems, and he understands everyone who is in space is supporting everybody. So unless you are building something which is obviously a rock pool or something like that, you will always get a support because we're building for the same cause, we have the same vision. So we I get a lot of support all the time when I'm sharing about MetaverseBay or Xploriya from everybody in the Web3 space, which I spoke with. But if it's Web2, I remember one of the conferences just a week ago. I have a chat with a person who was, because it was not fully Web3 conference, it was a tech conference. So that's why there was people who was from Web3, but they're also in after party. I was fully focusing on meeting with people in Web3, but then in after party, it's hard to know exactly. So I was approached by one person who was also building a startup, but it was a Web2 startup. So when he was like, "What do you do?" and then I started selling like I'm just telling usually to Web3 person, and he's like, "Wait a second. What is NFT? What is Metaverse? What is blockchain?" And I'm like, "Aha, so yeah, you're our target market." And I'm like, "Yes." And then I switched because I have a different understanding and a different explanation and different basically talking points if it's approaching to the person who is Web3 or not Web3. Because Web3, you don't
Right.
have to explain these things. But for Web2, you have to explain it, and you can't just give a definition. You can't just say, yeah, NFT is non-fungible token. I mean, and then you ask, what is token? What's non-fungible? And then it's all these things
Yeah.
as well. So I have to
Yeah.
come up with easier explanations with easier and more to their understanding basically. So that's the main challenge. And also I met people at that conference who were like, I don't believe in VR, I don't believe in metaverse. I think this is just like a fad and just a scam, and uh, no one needs to do it. So there's also these kind of people as well, and of course, I fully understand them. Especially, I mean, all of them who said that, at least who I met personally, and as because personally, I asked the first question, but have you experienced VR? And always it's like no. So I'm like, you better try it and then say if you like, if if it's something it's important or not. And there was one person who said yes, but I'm like, but how? And he's like, oh, it was some $15 headset, which was just like with phone. And I'm like, yeah, but you just go on one of the conferences and try the actual high tech solution. Maybe with even the body suit, and tell me after that how you feel about it. Because I was lucky enough to experience different technologies, which is already happening, like a suit, like there's like a box where you walk in and they close you in. Then you put the VR headset on, you sit down, and then you can smell it. So you can smell the air is changing. They're influencing the smell of the air. So depends on what you see. So if you see a desert, you have the smell of the sand. If you're in the city, have the smell of the city, and so on. And
Yeah.
also they can influence temperature. It's like a 5D cinema, but with full immersive experience, so with VR headset. So all these technologies combined will be crazy.
Oh yes. Like I think I was telling you earlier, or somebody else, that like there are cinema halls, at least here in India I've experienced, where you can go and have that experience what you're talking about. So I
Yep.
remember there was one this action movie I was part of. It's called a 7D experience. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell is this? Because I understand 3D technology. I'm a designer, like
Mm-hmm.
so I went and experience it. So whenever the car moves, there's a car chase. So the seat will shake a little bit. There's going to be water sprinkled on you a little bit, and like you said, a little bit of smell of the sand or whatever. So they're trying to enhance experiences. So in metaverse, the advantage for that will be you can do it yourself. You don't have to, like you can experience that sitting at your home. You don't have to go somewhere else and doing it with the with the headsets becoming more affordable, right? Because that is going to be one of the parameters for the wider adoption of this technology. And 5G, a lot of countries are talking about 5G, so it's going to be faster streaming
Yep.
because most of the platforms are cloud based, right? So it's going to be pretty super fun. I think the next year or two, and with a lot of big brands coming in, it's fantastic. I think that gives it a lot of boost, right? What do you think?
100%. I mean, every year technology is advancing. The only thing which is a bit of bad news, I can say, or not exciting news, was this year Connect, and when Facebook released their new headset, and most people in the industry I spoke with were expecting something for end user, for consumers, something better than Quest 2 from their side, and at an affordable price. But then they released basically a 1500, I think, headset, which is basically focused on developers and on corporates. So I support. I understand their point. They have a lot of collaboration contracts, partnerships signed with multiple big corporations like Microsoft, for example, and they would like to onboard corporates, and it's also a good thing. So I have support for that. But I was a bit unhappy regarding that there's no solutions from their side for end user. But we're looking forward to see what they will bring up next year. And I personally are planning to buy Pico 4, which is I think way better headset. And I already heard from multiple people who actually already receive it here in Europe that it's a great headset. And I know that right now Pico 4 have problems with supply because they get too much demand, which they can't keep up, because many people were waiting until Meta announcement regarding their this year headset, and once they announced at like a corporate version, way expensive than most people expected. Almost everybody I knew picked Pico 4. So I recommend as well, if you would like to onboard the VR industry and you have some budget to spend, uh, get yourself a Pico 4 VR headset. It's pretty good, and only disadvantage, I know that it's accessible only in Europe and Asia, and I'm not sure if it's accessible in North America or South America. So that's a disadvantage for US users, but disadvantage for us in Europe and for you in Asia.
Oh yes, I think companies will roll out one place at a time. So in this case, there are two different continents. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to expand slowly because everybody, instead of going full in into a new technology, they want to test some waters. With their, I'm sure they must have done their own research why they want with one market and why not with the other. But over a period of time, I think it's going to roll out to everybody. That's
Yeah.
the way I see it, right? So, like because you've had, you just mentioned that you've already spoken to a lot of industry people who have, like had experience with this new headset as well. But if you step back a little bit and like see that when you talk about Web3, this is more related to with the association that usually people have with Web3 is cryptocurrency. There's a direct correlation, right? And the relationship of understanding of cryptocurrencies because of these scams, rug pulls, and a lot of other things is not very positive, right? So how do you see it, in your interaction, because you are talking to most of the people in a different world, as in like in Europe side. So
Yeah.
how do you see that happening? Do you face challenges in that daily interaction with that?
There are a lot of challenges, unfortunately, because I mean, everyone knows that there's like a 100 legit cryptocurrencies, maybe 200, but there's actually like 19,000 in supply, or maybe even more, since last time I checked. So because it's get maybe even every day a new crypto. So that's the main problem with it, because it's how easy it is to set it up. And I can say once I officially announced on LinkedIn that I'm part of MetaverseBay, I start getting requests almost every week, sometimes even every day from multiple exchanges to do our ICO. So and it was like yeah, cool. And it was but what they say was, I know it's easy to launch a crypto, but like getting listed on exchange so easy, it was just so questionable from my side as well, because I knew that it's quite easy, but that easy, it was something new for myself as well. So I fully understand people who has a lot of skepticism, and there's too many rug pulls and scams, unfortunately, in this space. It's getting better with the bear market. So we have more actual builders rather than people who came crash grabbers, rather than what was in bull market. But the industry is still in not a good condition, I can say. There's a lot of education which must be done, and there's a lot of actual builders which we still need. So I think that the more people we educate, the less chances that they will be scammed, and also the least people will try to scam people, because the chances of that will go down every time for every one person is educated, basically. And also, once more people is educated, there is more builders, so the speed of growth of the industry will also accelerate. And I personally think about Web3 is not that not every metaverse platform right now must have blockchain or must have cryptocurrency like tokens or NFT, because I see them as securities, I can say, and they're not regulated at all. So there's no authority around it. I understand the point of decentralization, of course, but we're still not in the position where decentralization means security. And usually right now, decentralization is abused to scam people. And until people are educated enough to make their own proper decisions, I think we need some regulations. So there's two ways to it. Either we need to educate people hard and then focus on decentralization, or focus on centralization right now while we're educating people to speed up adoption, of course. So that's my take on crypto and blockchain. I mean, I'm a digit. I can say I have invested in multiple coins, which I would never recommend to anyone else to invest in.
Yeah.
And it just it's fun. I mean, for me, it's just something of gambling as well. And of course, I do my research. I have at least. I'm not investing in like obvious rug pulls or scams, but most of them can go down or up. It's a gambling sometimes, and most of the time I can see. If it's not even with major cryptos, it's still gambling. There are like if you go long term, like multiple years, the chances of 100% I'm not telling any names of cryptocurrencies. No, I said I never recommend it. And the only my problem is when people speak about their investments into any crypto, and they say do your own research. The problem is that multiple people don't know how to do the research, so they don't even know what to look for, and then they start researching just other people speaking about it, and then they're up to what other people think and their knowledge. And it's hard to do the research right now, even for a person who is in space for like multiple years and have experience with multiple like multiple negative and positive experience, and have at least some understanding of tokenomics, for example. And I understand that the main goal is not to promote crypto right now, and more to promote the builders and the VR, AR, and I think educate people. And then the people, once people educated, we can bring on
Oh
board
yes.
tokens.
Oh yeah, so once see, that's the reason, like you're doing your effort through your metaverses for wider adoption and education, right? So I'm
Yes.
trying to do, like through I run a Web3 agency, and then one reason of starting the podcast was to get that myth around it, uh, the separation of Web3 and cryptocurrencies, and talk about the technology and what it can do as a beneficial technology, not like talks about the scams and the
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies and how general people can separate it.
Yeah.
So then that's the reason we get guests who are building something or who are part of it, which is amazing. Yeah. So
And
so Andre, I want to understand. Sorry, you were saying
yeah,
something.
I just remember. Sorry, I just remembered about one thing, and like it was easier to claim the crypto is like more stable market when it was like its peak on the bull market. While now in Burma, but the good example is for people to consider is what happened with top four of the cryptocurrencies. Luna, where was everyone was saying it's a future, it's great, it's part of stablecoin, it's good tokenomics and everything, and then it fall to zero basically, and a lot of people lost their money, like a lot of people, and most of them lost their life savings, which is just ridiculous, and that's basically what can happen. And it was one of the top five cryptocurrencies, one of the most stable and one of the most progressive, and the biggest, like one of the biggest getting the support of it. So that's the main point, is that if you try to buy the crypto which no one heard about or is new, you're in huge risk. But imagine that there's a big risk even in the top of the cryptos in terms of capitalization, in terms of support. So that's why it is really, really hard, even for people in the space, to predict something like that happening, because we're still super early. And that's why I would never recommend investing in crypto if you are in this space first week, first month, first year. Maybe invest something you afford to lose. So for example,
Yeah.
if you that's basically the only advice is, like, if you treat it something as education. Like, I first invested my first $100 as an education tool. So instead of buying courses or other things, I would just invest $100 in multiple cryptos just to keep myself engaged and to keep myself interested into learning it, because then I was be scared to lose everything. I mean, I lost almost all of it. So that's that's why I was like, this was
Yeah.
2017. It was crazy. So invest something you afford to lose with this, and then like you're buying a lottery ticket, like
Oh,
treat,
absolutely.
treat it this way.
Yeah, there you have it. Like he's somebody who's invested it, got into it. By the way, this is not financial advice. It's just that we're sharing our experiences here.
Yes.
So she lost it at DYOR. What I understand with cryptos is till the time it has utility, one should not invest. Like
Yes.
hype or no hype. If there's no utility, there's not going to be a lot of money in the big run. The challenge
Yes.
I think that most face was that they're trying to make quick rich schemes like that, and there's scams happening. Not only in crypto but outside as well. But
Yeah.
anyhow, so yeah, coming to the tech side of it. So what is your say on the technology like blockchain? What do you think about the technology side of it? So
Uh,
is it here to stay? Is it a hype? What do you
mm,
think about it?
I think if taking away cryptocurrency or even NFTs and focusing primarily on blockchain, like the technology side, blockchain and smart contracts, for example, I say that this is a future technology and 100% will be of massive use. And
Mm-hmm.
even if we don't consider, like, if we consider like worst case scenario and that we won't go from digitalization, there is a lot of applications for centralized use of blockchain and smart contracts. So I think that at some point we might even end up with US dollar being part of blockchain and being printed by a program, by code, rather than actually being printed by Fed Reserve, for example, because it's almost impossible. I mean, as I know, it's impossible to counterfeit blockchain basically. So there's the amount of counterfeit bitcoins, for example, in supply is way lower than of any other real currency. So this one of the benefits is the counterfeit and the security of having like a crypto US dollar, for example, rather than like a
Mm-hmm.
token, instead of actually having like actual bill, because you always risk getting a counterfeit if you don't check it properly, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can happen. So I think that's one of the possible applications in next 5-10 years from centralized side. So, for example, like CBDC, which is like a government token, I can say, in simple words.
Yeah.
That's one application. Second application, smart contracts. There's a huge opportunity for application of smart contracts in all industries, especially events. So instead of, especially like for NFTs that you can make a gated access to anything, and you can't counterfeit tickets like NFT tickets, for example. So the chances of you buying a counterfeit ticket to World Cup in Qatar, if it's NFT, are zero. I mean, if at least, I mean, you can still buy a counterfeit, but it won't be on the same blockchain. It won't be. It
Same
was actually,
blockchain. Yeah.
yeah, or it
Yeah.
would be like a copycat, and it's way easier to spot it. Of course, I mean, we now know that, for example, people was trying to scam other people with Bored Ape NFTs after the split of Ethereum, basically from proof of
Yeah.
work and proof of stake. So there are things like that, but it's way easier and way quicker to check things like that, and the chances of you getting scammed is, considering real life applications, are way lower
Oh,
with usage
absolutely.
of blockchain.
And there are a lot of companies, which are doing development to verify NFTs, whether it is actual or not.
Yeah,
So it's, you just have to put in the address or,
yeah,
the
exactly.
information, and then you can simply check, like the creator, the originator, when, what, and all that information around it. So it becomes very easy to check it, like there and then. And there are tons of utilities, like for getting admission into universities, you need some degrees from your previous institution. Once they are in blockchain, you cannot forge it. Whatever numbers, like the numbers that you received or percentage, so they can be on blockchain and you can't see it. So there are tons and tons of it. So what I understand is that, like from your view, it is it's not a hype, it has a genuine use case, right?
And yes, it 100% has a general use case, and I can treat it more as a rumor, which I will share now, that because I heard it from another person who heard it from another person, and I wasn't able to verify this information by with my research. But there is like a rumor that there is a company who is building uh, and future energy, an energy of the future, which is something uh, like a power of the sun. It's like was called by one of the person who was telling me this story. So basically, they're building like a small mini sun, which will be able to, uh, which will be able to harvest on Earth. And it will be like unlimited energy, and like it will be the most sustainable energy. I mean, and their main fear is that it will be get stolen and be used as for example, like what nuclear weapons are using right now, and the power of its destruction will be even higher than nuclear. And that's at least what I was told. And then they are using blockchain technology to split information between different nodes. So there's no one have access to full technology at the same time. So I'm not sure how I'm not sure how they use it, and probably will get more information about that in next years, or maybe even never. Depends how it will go. But I see application for it. I 100% see application for it. Even like not thinking about this technology, but thinking that there are an option to use blockchain as a way to decentralize information and reduce the risk of espionage and risk of getting hacked if it's a centralized system and getting all the information stolen, for example. And even with what we see with all the hacks happening in the crypto industry or NFT in the blockchain industry, most of them happens with some security issues in centralized platforms, and also on the bridges. So the chances of you being scammed if you use centralized platforms, and if they are already long term in the game, so they have a lot of proper code, because sometimes happens because of some issues in the code, like the hack can happen. But if they're long term in the game and the code is fine, the chance of you losing your information, your money, is quite low.
Oh yes, absolutely. And see, they will see, that's why regulation is so important. Because once you have regulation into any industry, especially in blockchain, and I'm sure different countries are working around it to understand. So then what happens? All the things that, once it goes into wrong hands, so that can be taken care of. Once it goes as regulation, there are laws around it, what you can do, what you cannot do, and then the appropriate agencies can take care of it. No, that is absolutely, see, it's like, you have a money, right? It goes, once it goes into the right hands, people donate, build educational institutions and do a lot of right things, right? Once it goes into the wrong hands, a lot of wrong things happen. It's
Yeah,
always, so they are, technology by default is a neutral it depends upon who's using it, right?
Exactly.
So no, cool. So I think we are pretty much coming to the end. So one of the last questions I have is, what do you see being in the metaverse industry as the like current state of metaverses? How do you see it?
I can say we're still early, 100%, and even checking out different platforms which are in the space. It's like it's impossible to tick all the boxes if you would like to host an event or experience. Like none of the platforms have can able to tick all the boxes. Some of them have more access to viewers. Some of them have better audio. Some of them are harder to build on it. So each platform now have its advantages and disadvantages. There's no standard at the moment. That basically means that we are in really early stage. So I think that once the industry will grow more, more platforms in metaverse space will get to one standard, or at least close to one standard, and then the people will be able to choose just by what they feel it's more of their pop, like by their feel rather than by limitation of the platform. But like for example, spatial is accessible with mobile, for example, but VRChat is not, and like Roblox is a different thing. And then you have Decentraland Sandbox or Somnium Space, which is fully blockchain based metaverse platform. So it depends how it's hard to define the metaverse and metaverse platforms because of everyone right now building different things and have different vision. I mean,
Hmm.
even the creator of the of the metaverse term, basically, Neil Stephenson, have his own perspective on it. So
Yeah,
he's doing his own idea. So and now not every person is supporting. So they're using the term which is created well by made by coined by creator, but they're not supporting the vision of the creator, which is also interesting. So like now it's fully like the term is going on itself. The creator is trying to build something as well and to show his vision. It's interesting to see that people learn like reading, for example, Snow Crash, and seeing a
hmm,
different perspective, and then arguing with the creator of the term and of the vision about how it actually should look like. So yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of potential, and that's the main benefit of it. You can build your
yeah,
own vision, and you can influence the future if you onboard the space now. And you don't
yeah.
have even to build your own project. You can just join an existing project as a part of the team, and because we're still in early stage, you're able to influence the development of the project you join with your own ideas.
Oh, absolutely. And you can obviously experience it before you actually go ahead and start building it, right?
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And I also hope that the rumor that you mentioned about the artificial sun remains a rumor. Yeah, no, it's interesting. So I think we are there. Like we are there at the top of the hour. So like, what in one word, what is your outlook about Web3 as a technology? Like positive, neutral, negative.
100% positive. It's a technology, 100% positive. As of current state, because of a lot of like because of bear market and because of scams and rug pulls. Neutral, I can say, like there's a lot of good thing happening and a lot of bad thing happening. So if you're educated enough, fully positive. If you're onboarding right now, start from education before you do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be the answer to my, like would have been my follow up question. Was your one advice to people entering in now into this
Uh-huh.
industry?
Yeah.
And especially students, because we see a lot of young kids, students coming in. So that answer would be education, right? Educate
Yeah.
yourself,
Start.
do your own research.
Get an experience. So to choose one platform, you support the vision and join it and offer you being the intern. But I can know that for sure from asking multiple people, multiple students, that big companies in the space, even now, even for internship, now demand some experience in the industry. So you can't just join with knowing nothing about metaverse. You have to know something, and they ask questions regarding Web3. So it's hard to get an internship, for example, now in Binance. You need to know at least something, even as to be an intern. But you definitely can join an early startups and learn this way, and then get an internship in bigger corporate in bigger companies in the space.
Oh, absolutely. So start with education, do your own research, be mindful where where you spend your time with, utilize it very well. I think that has a big scope.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Andre. I think we are like, I have exhausted all my things. Like obviously we could discuss a lot of things offline as well. But yeah, for this episode, thank you so much for
It
coming
was
in
a
early
pleasure. Thank
morning
you
for
for
you.
inviting.
I think we got tons and tons of information, knowledge about metaverse and the certain like hidden things which are happening around. So now it's the time for your big announcement. Just before we
Yeah.
leave, like you promised, your big announcement. What is
So
that?
I mean, we have a small inside posted already on my LinkedIn, and basically go on my LinkedIn and maybe just go through the link. And we are now launching our first beta, closed beta for our first module of the Metaverse Foundations. So if you know nothing about Metaverse and would like to learn and get your fundamental knowledge, you can sign up for waitlist and be one of the first people to get access to it and start learning basically next week probably about the important things. We'll be launching every module every week or two, and then you will get notified to your email about new information posted, and you can learn and you can develop your skill set, and you don't even have to waste too much time scrolling through the internet and looking for information. We have you we have everything for you basically to build your fundamental knowledge.
Fantastic, Andre. So anybody listening in want to have some knowledge, follow Andre. That's Andrii and Shykhman, Andre Shykhman. Also, you can follow his company MetaverseBay, like straightforward, or Xploriya. Xploriya pronounces E. So it's X as the letter Xploriya, right?
Yes,
Xploriya. Fantastic, Andre. Thank you very much for making big announcement from our platform. So we are like truly indebted to you.
it was a
And
pleasure.
see you around. Thank you so
Thank you for inviting.
much.
See you around.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.